welcome to Liz at Home in Cape Town, sunny South Africa. Today I'm going to do a little gouache painting. So I've got a plastic sheet here to cover my desk mat because I don't really want to get it all wet and possibly full of paint. So I'm just popping that down to quickly cover the desk mat. And then I've prepared some mixed media paper. I'm not at all experienced in gouache, so this is kind of new to me, just having a sip of water. Excuse me. So this is quite new to me. So I have with me a palette. This is my Gouache. I've forgotten what it's called, but I use it for all kinds of things. It's a something aquarelle. And I've got some baby wipes. I have a flat brush. This is a size 10 that I got in a scrawler box. And then I have two small brushes, a little round Princeton snap brush in a size 0 and a very tiny Prime Art 40 detailing brush. I have a vessel of water, and I have some gouache paint, obviously. I've attached a sheet of mixed media paper to this. Is just the back of an exam pad, just so that I can move it. And I'm just going to do the one painting now, and then I'll do the other in my own time, just two little landscapes. I'm playing with the gouache. I have different gouache here. I have a set of Reeves gouache, and then I have some other gouache paints, various ones I've collected over the time, and I'm trying to decide what color to make my landscape. And I don't know if it should be a violet sky or a blue sky or a crimson sky. And somehow or other, this Dale Rani alizarin crimson gouache is staring at me. Is this white? I need some white as well. And I'm going to need some black. So I just need those three colors. So I think I'm going to make this a red sky. And I'm taking out a baby wipe just to have something to wipe my hands with if they get grubby or if I should need it. I also have some paper towel, same as for watercolor. Now I've been doing a bit of a Skillshare class on gouache, and so I thought I'd show you some of the things I've learned. Going to open this, and I'm just going to squeeze out some, hopefully enough for the background, and some of the white. I'm not sure what color that's going to be. Maybe I should just do a little swatch as well. This is Dale White Gouache. It's a South African brand. I want to buy some more. I quite like it. And being South African brand, it's so much cheaper in South Africa, so we don't have to pay all these import duties and things. It's just a piece of paper. So I'm just going to wet my brush, but not a lot. That's the thing I've been learning. So unlike with watercolor, you don't use so much water with it. You just use the creamy gouache, and this is a nice creamy one. It's much creamier. Do you think that will be a nice sky? I think it'll be a beautiful red sky. So let's see how this turns out, shall we? Just going to add a tiny drop of water. Now the thing about gouache is that it is opaque compared with watercolor. Watercolor is very translucent, and you can add water to this. Is a water-based gouache, and you can add water to it. but the more water you add, the more transparent it comes, or translucent. And what I'm wanting to make use of is this opaque quality. So just a little dipping of my brush into the water, and from left to right I'm just going to be gently spreading this color. And hoping to get quite a flat lay down. And I'm going to be doing a silhouette again. Because I don't draw very well, I love these kinds of paintings where you don't have to be such a great you don't have to be able to draw so very well to be able to paint the things you'd like to paint. Just a dab of water here, because it's a bit sticky. This is very nice, this Stay Around. It's the first time I'm using this particular gouache. I got that also in an art subscription box when I was subscribed to all these art boxes. It was so great getting those things. I must say it's one of the things I do wish I could afford to do again, but on the other hand, it's nice now that I've got all the things and I can play with them. So if you know a lot about gouache and I'm doing this all wrong according to you, feel free to say so in a kind way. Please, I'm more or less doing what I was told in the Skillshare class that I followed. I am putting links underneath my videos in case you would like. I'm not sure whether they give you a month or 2 weeks free Skillshare premium to follow whatever classes you'd like to with the link. You don't have to follow the same class as the link sends you to. So this is a little bit patchy, but in a way I think I'm fairly happy with it. Maybe I just need a drop more at the top there. So one uses, I think, and I speak under correction, that this gouache is much less economical than watercolor, because one seems to use a hang of a lot more paint. Don't want to be a bad workman blaming his tools. I think that is as smooth as I'm managing to get this down. And now this has to dry. And one of the good things about gouache is that it doesn't take as long to dry as watercolor does. So this will dry and then I'll carry on. Well, this is dried nicely now. My white has got a little bit dry as well. And now I'm going to try and paint in some bushes and tree things and a moon and possibly some electric lines or something to make it a silhouette-y thing. I just want to add more water to this and get it reconstituted. It's kind of lumpy. I've heard that you can sort of reconstitute gouache if you've got it in pans, but it loses its opaqueness, so it doesn't seem like the best idea. Right, and now I'm just rinsing out my brush. got a wet wipe here. Clean that, and I have some ivory black. And I'm just going to squeeze some out. Hope that's enough. And then I'm using my small 0 brush. So I want this not to be too sticky. Maybe just a little bit more water so that it flows. And I'm going to I'm just sort of dabbing and making a kind of a tree, a silhouette of a tree. Coming out, I'm sort of getting the basic shape first. Must admit, I can't decide whether I suppose I shouldn't have an opinion quite so quickly about it, but I prefer this far my experiences with watercolors. I kind of, perhaps that's just me. How many of you have used gouache? Have any of you used it in your adult coloring books? Sort of what I was thinking of trying. So now I'm going to add some more on the other side, just sort of above the halfway mark. Make a nice kind of a bush come out. It would be interesting to do the same thing on watercolor, in watercolor, the same kind of painting in watercolor, but now this side, this is mixed media paper, so it's one of the things that did appeal to me about gouache is that you don't have to use watercolor paper, which is so terribly, terribly expensive. So you just have to use a sort of sturdy kind of paper. And I think I could probably thin this a little bit more. It's very sticky. I suppose it needs more water. You get acrylic gouache as well, and I'm not quite sure what the difference is. I should do some research. Oh dear, I've gone and spilled some water, made a water drop there. Never mind, I'm going to be covering it with the black. I want to have a bit of a space there in between, just for interest. I'll All right, and now I want to use an even finer brush. So I need to rinse this out. Careful I don't make another splash. There's a lot of paint on my brush. It's come out quite well. Now I'm using an an even smaller brush, which is a 4-0, and I'm going to try and just make some very tiny little leaf shapes as to add a bit more interest at the end of these trees. Just so that it looks, oh goodness, Elizabeth. Wow, that was a close call. I put the paper towel there to rest my hand on so that I don't get too much sort of oil from the hands, which would repel the paints, I think. I know it causes a bit of havoc in colouring books, so I thought it's probably a good idea. So just, sorry, I've gone all quiet because I was concentrating. Aeroplane flying overhead, not sure if you can hear it. The family that's visiting me at the moment have gone off on a little safari to see animals. I'm so excited for them to come back and hear what the 3-year-old thought about it all. He was very excited. So there we are. Now I could put some electricity lines, but I think I'm not going to. I think all I'm going to do to add to this is a white moon. And I think I'm going to get a stencil. I just quickly went to get a little circular stencil. I'm wondering if I should have a big moon. I think I'm going to have a big moon slightly offset. Just want to lightly pencil that in so that I can paint it. I hope I didn't get any paint on there. And then I'm going to use my little brush and wet this white gouache a bit more. I think I've definitely made the whole of this gouache too thick. I think I should have thinned it all down with more water. I'd love to have commentary, especially from somebody that's done gouache painting. It would be very interesting. I know I did a gouache background on one of my pages in Daydreams, and there I did thin it down more and it went on like a dream. So I'm just thinning this down a bit because it's all lumpy. It's sort of like making white sauce that isn't very nice. So let me see if I can get that into a circle and go around. Definitely needs more water. It doesn't flow at all. So I've just added quite a bit more water here. No idea if this was the right thing or the wrong thing to do, but it's what I've done, sort of intuitively. Oh, golly gosh, now the red from underneath is coming up. That I didn't want to happen. So I suppose it might just be too wet then. Let me get my circle. Paint that in. Oh dear. Getting impatient and I'm dropping drops of water on things. I'm also a little bit discombobulated because I'm at a different area in my home, and I was set up very nicely in what I turned into a little studio for myself. And this is now in the room that my family is staying in, so I can't use it. And I'm not entirely comfortable where I am. So this is a flop, my red moon, a blood moon on a blood sky. I need to squeeze out a little bit more white. Going to squeeze out some fresh white here. I really would love to be able to buy that Himi gouache, which is already sort of wet and in tubs, and I've seen people using that very successfully. So how is that moving? I think I'm going to have to leave this to dry and try another layer on top of that, which is a pity because then the gouache is going to dry again. Give me watercolor. I don't think this is for me. I'm starting to become irritable. I want to be finished. The lady that did this in Skillshare just did it so easily. So maybe I'll just need to flatten this all more so that it can dry and not be so bitty. And maybe I'm just going to leave it as this sort of rosy moon. Let that dry. And when that's dry, I'll see if I can cover it, even if I should cover it or not. I'm not sure if I should cover that or if I should leave it with the rosy moon. I'm now kind of quite liking it. I think perhaps I should leave this as a rosy moon. I think that is how it's going to stay. Something here. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to cover it with some black paint. There we are. Cleaned my brush. And I think that's that. going to carefully remove this washi tape from this side and over there, just to reveal and see what it looks like with a clean edge, and if we got a clean edge or not. So luckily we did get a clean edge, and then I've quickly done the other page, and I thought I'd share that with you so you can see the finished product. I enjoyed doing the second page a little bit more. It's still not right, and I'd love any advice any of you can give me. Thank you for watching. Have a colorful week. Goodbye now.